Hey guys, I've gotten a lot of comments from my Hotep Jesus video from last summer, so I thought I'd make a part 2 video of some of the more ridiculous claims he made. Thank you for those who commented and didn't buy into the conspiracy theory. So today I'm going to react to Hotep Jesus on why the Democrats should pay for reparations. Here we go.
Rogan experience.
If you had if you were speaking in front of Congress,
Yeah.
and you were talking about reparations,
Mhm.
what would you have to say?
Okay, before we get into this, I'm not going to share my views on reparations with any of y'all. You guys can debate this in the comments section, but I am not going to touch this with a 10-foot pole.
The conversation going. Open up the conversation. Let's get more minds involved. Don't shoot it down. And Dems must pay. I got.
Okay, before he starts rambling on some ridiculous nonsense, Hotep Jesus is going to use the debunked talking point that the Democrats were the party of slavery, the KKK, and Jim Crow. However, as I'm going to explain later, the parties gradually shifted over 150 years. But I'll stop for now and let him speak and dig himself more in the hole.
Got the hashtag going. Dems must pay.
Why Dems?
Because it's a great start, number one. So, when we had the debate with C.J. Pearson, he said, in his rant, he went off about da-da-da-da, and he said, if anything, the Dems should pay. It's the liberal.
Okay, so Hotep Jesus cites C.J. Pearson as his main source for his argument, who today is best known for suing the state of Georgia to overturn the 2020 election results. If you're interested, just look up Pearson v. Kemp, and you can find out all about his conspiracy theory court case. But I digress, and let's have Hotep Jesus continue about why the Dems should pay for reparations.
Liberals, because they had the KKK, they owned slavery, they ran the slave trade, da 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 da. So it's like, well, if that's the case, then why don't we make them pay? The other thing is, if you're conservative and you're having this election race or whatever, why don't you just take the wild card away from them, from the left, and say, well, yeah, if there is a reparations conversation. That was the Democrats, that was the Dixiecrats that installed black codes in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones that.
That's an interesting conversation, right? When you say that,
Yeah.
And like, wait, what?
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here, but I'll start from basically the beginning. So according to Hotep Jesus, the Southern Democrats started the KKK and ran the slave trade, which at the time was true. There's no disputing that. In fact, Abraham Lincoln, a Republican, was not even on the ballot in most southern states. But only mentioning that gives the viewer a false history, and frankly, an inaccurate history. After the Civil War, most emancipated slaves became Republicans because it was the party of Lincoln and abolitionists. Simultaneously, Democrats were popular in the South and opposed to the expansion of federal power. Throughout Reconstruction, Republicans were seen as an ally to the black community. It really stayed this way up until FDR's New Deal, which had Republicans up in arms as they saw it as an overreach by the federal government. However, the Republicans under Hoover's administration were still pro-large government, which was the president before FDR. You can see this by them supporting, especially Hoover himself, prohibition. However, the New Deal helped the African American community, and it was the first step of the party switch. So this is when you see the party shifting. Throughout the following decades, this switch will become more and more apparent. In reality, if you're a Democrat in the 1860s, you'd most likely align with the Republican Party today, and if you're a Republican in the 1860s, you'd most likely be a Democrat today.
What? It's actually the Democrats are responsible.
Yeah, you had the thing called black codes. And if you were considered black, then you didn't have rights. The funny thing is you could be.
Okay, so this is my problem with Hotep Jesus. He sometimes says things which are completely true, such as the Black Codes, which is one of the darkest moments in American history, and frankly led to the discrimination of blacks. basically until the 1960s and the civil rights movement. But he follows his legitimate claims, which frankly give him legitimacy, followed by bullshit like, oh, there were tribes of white people in Central Africa, or the Egyptians made their way to Ohio in the Grand Canyon. These are all bullshit claims that he makes, and it's just so frustrating that instead of highlighting the things that are actually true and discussing them and using his platform, because he has a good sized platform, he instead spews this ridiculous nonsense. And on YouTube, it's not considered misinformation either, which is kind of ironic.
Be technically African and be white. White isn't a color, it's a status.
Elon Musk.
What do you mean?
He's from Africa.
Is he?
Yep.
Well, I knew that.
Yeah.
But he's not an African.
Well, he was born in Africa.
Okay. No, there's not. No, there's not. No, there's not. Okay. Yes, technically, we evolved from early hominids in Africa, so every human being on this planet is a little bit from Africa. But saying that there's naturally white African people is ludicrous, especially because descendants of Europeans or people from the Middle East don't count. My gosh. This is just hard to watch, but I will continue.
But he's not an African.
South African.
But so when we do his 23andMe, what is this gonna
Probably
say?
Dutch or something.
Oh,
like
there you
that,
go. So-
right?
so he's a
something
Dutch,
from
right.
Europe.
Yeah, Dutch would be because of the Boers, or he could be a descendant from the British. Either or. That would be fascinating to find out whether he's a descendant of the Boers or a descendant of the British, though.
Europe.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, see what I'm saying?
But there's white people that their lineage from historically is from Africa.
I'm sure.
Well, I mean, the Sephardic people that lived in northern Africa, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where it's considered more Middle East.
Right. You can see some of that, absolutely. But these people aren't the African. These
Right.
people come from Turkey.
Right.
They come from Kiev, Russia.
Mhm.
You know, that's what.
Oh my god. Okay. Keep in mind this video was taken way before this year. And Hotep Jesus just called Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, Kiev, Russia. Like, my god, how much more evidence do I need to give y'all that this guy makes up ridiculous bullshit to fill his platform? It's just completely inaccurate. I don't know how much more I need to show y'all, but like that's just a clear example right there. Everyone can look up a map, look up Kiev, Ukraine, and call it Kiev now, but I've always called it Kiev. My bad.
Where they come from, they migrated into Africa. That's not where they from.
Right.
Their bodies aren't even biologically conducive to that environment. You know, I'm not conducive to the New York environment. White folks
Who is?
Exactly. But white folks is running down the street with shorts, and I'm just like, yo, I need a jacket. You know? But there's definitely a biological difference there that we got to recognize to let us
Sure.
know where we came from.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, I don't know what to make of that, but I'm from the South and I get cold at different degrees than New Yorkers because I'm not used to cold temperatures. So there's that.
Yeah. It's a lot to this conversation.
It is a lot to this conversation, but it's so heavily weighted. People don't want to be objective about it.
Okay, well that's it. Whatever. Like and subscribe if y'all want more Hotep Jesus videos. Please let me know. And please keep the comments civil and don't threaten my life because I'm criticizing him. He spews so much nonsense, but please be civil. Bye, y'all. And also, my voice sounds weird. I just got out of the hospital with COVID, so that's why. Thanks, y'all. Bye.